Hey there. Hope you're having a great night tonight. It's been awesome being able to go through this series, Finding Favor, with all of you. And so just to do a little recap of what we talked about Sunday, Doug talked about is found in Daniel chapter 1. And before we jump into that, I just want to share a little story of mine. Before we came here to Manor Woods, Mara and I, we were looking for a place. We were looking to be close to our families back in the Midwest, and we really thought that's where God was going to put us. And so we started looking there in those areas, and we got a few interviews and stuff like that. And but you know, it was during 2000 or 2008 where there was a huge recession and jobs were scarce, and we're just finding it hard to find the right place and to be able to go to the next level of interviews, and you know, just kept on hitting wall after wall after wall. And at one point there was actually several nights of this where I was just like crying, and I was like, God, am I not good enough? And God, where are you? Those were some legitimate questions of like, God, I feel like I'm wandering here in the desert and I have no place to go. And so it was kind of crazy. And at that point I said, God, look, I've been putting it all about me. I've been saying it's all been about me. Lord, I want your name glorified in everything I do. And so that means, God, wherever you put us, we want to be your servants, wherever we go. And it was at that moment where I let go of control, where I let go of my desires and my wants. And I said, your kingdom is bigger than me. And that's when, actually a couple weeks later, after I had another wall of interviews, God opened up Manor Woods. My executive pastor at the church that I was at before, he said, hey, there's this church in Maryland. Have you ever heard of it? Church of Christ Manor Woods? I was like, no, I haven't. Sure, I'll look into it. And so it was pretty amazing, though. The really cool thing is that all these connections from Manor Woods that were there that I didn't even know I had, and it was just pretty amazing to see God's hand in all of this. And the reason why I tell you that story is because I know that life can throw some curveballs at us. Life can be tough, and we can be faced with decisions that can change your life drastically, even sometimes. And here Daniel is. His decision was no small decision, even though it may sound very small to us, because he's faced with a decision of following Jewish dietary laws over the Babylonian captors' laws. And here he is. And here is this teenager who has been enslaved, who his name's been stripped away, and he is at the Babylonian king's mercy. And he's being told that he has to eat the royal food. Well, he knows that he's not supposed to. He knows that he shouldn't. And in fact, it's not even a question. He says, I know what God says to do, and I need to do it. And so he goes, thinking, like, I don't know what he was thinking. He could have faced death. But here he is, he's going to his captor and he says, I cannot do that. Here's what I'll do. Can we do a test? And unbelievably, his captor says, okay, we'll do it. What? Really? You'll do that? That is insane. So there's a couple things that I want us to take note in this story here in Daniel chapter 1. We see when we put God first, when we fear God rather than men, we'll find God's favor. You see, Daniel, he didn't fear what would happen to him. He feared God more. He knew by putting God first, he would earn God's favor. And the second thing that I notice is that when we pray, when we talk to God, we need to go in boldness, knowing that he's on our side. He's on our side. He works things for our good. And knowing that it's bigger than just us. It's about him, for him. And so when we go in prayer, when we think that the unthinkable can be thinkable, when we think that we can't do certain things, or where situations in our life, decisions that we're facing, decisions that change our lives dramatically, conflicts that are in our life that we think that there's no way that that relationship can be restored or redeemed. I want to challenge you, like Dyke did in his message. Where are you? Are you going to pray over that? Pray that it will happen, that God will intervene in those situations. Because you do have God's favor. And that God can change those situations. Pray that he can change those people, the people that you might be having conflict with, or the kid that you might be having problems with, or the coworker that you might be battling up against. Pray that God can change their hearts. But also, pray that God can change your heart to make you more like Jesus. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a great discussion, and we'll talk to you later. See you guys next week.